Mama, I found
Peace. How's everybody doing? This is your brother and friend, Yeshiah Yisrael. We hope we pray everybody is well and will be better. I intended to do this presentation last night, but got caught up with family matters, but I have no regrets about that. So, for those who are able to join on now or join on later on, it is definitely appreciated. We are on the platforms Mora Yeshaya History Lessons, Mora Yeshaya History Lessons 2, and the Facebook profile Yeshaya Author Danites. All right. Again, we hope we pray that everybody is well and will be better. What I'm going to present in this particular presentation, everyone is not going to agree with, and it comes with the status. But brothers and sisters, we want to talk about a particular matter. We are going to leave foul language out, as is the custom now on the platform. And we hope and pray that you all enjoy it, agree with it, maybe, but at least understand where one is coming from in that particular case. All right. Now, I want to say that my presentations are not camp orientated. And what do I mean by that is it's not based upon, okay, this camp, that camp, association, and that kind of manner. This is why you might find me speaking highly of my teachers, but at the same token, you don't find me saying about go to this camp or don't go to this camp either, in that particular matter. So that is something I hope is understood in reference purposes. So we will, brothers and sisters, play another song and then get right back into what the presentation is about, which is regarding a person who passed away and black women's reactions based upon the particular person's passing away and the charges of the murderer being dropped. All right. Thank you for that. Peace again to everybody. Hopefully, everybody is well and will be better. Thank you for the people who have joined on now or later. Peace to my friend LYWBD. I see your comment. Thank you for that, my brother or sister. I don't know the gender, so I'm just saying it in that particular case. And for those who are seeing, it says Shalom Aleichem, which means peace to you all, or peace concerning you all. Boker Tov means good morning. Beloveds, APTTMH means all praise to the Most High, Yahuwah Zebaot, meaning the Most High of hosts. Hallelujah, Yahuwah. Now, brothers and sisters, I want to say this. You may find brothers or sisters saying the holy name in a different way, but we know of whom we're speaking of. And so that's something we want to point out for reference purposes. All right. Hoping again and praying that everybody is well and will be better. Thank you for that, family, in that case. All right. And so I was told Ima More. Ima means mother for those who are interested. All right. I don't know which Ima it is, but it's definitely respected that you have joined on in the presentation. Thank you for that. We're going to, and my brother and friend Boker Tob Ak Shalom Aleichem, which means good morning, good morning, brother. Ak means brother. Shalom Aleichem, like before, means peace concerning you all. And Ima wrote in Zaina. If I'm mispronouncing your name, please forgive me. Any corrections? If I make a mistake, I can be reached at 908-587-4841. All right. So just looking at it in that particular case is definitely, again, most definitely appreciated in that manner. All right. So let me pull up the PowerPoint if we will. All right. Thank you for that. Slideshow from current slide. And if this is to be seen, I can see it on my own in this manner as well. All right. Thank you for that. Looking at it in this particular case. All righty. Yes. It says he the coon. The matter of T.0 and H.C. Good morning / evening. Welcome to Day and Night Publications. In this presentation, we will speak on the matter of a now deceased gentleman and the charges which were not filed. The other matter, too, will address the matter of the statements of Black women concerning this. Now, I want to say, due to sensitive matters, that this is not a matter of bashing sisters or even bashing the deceased. What this presentation in part is about is to speak upon how a person, a Black man, regardless of how one may feel of this particular Black man, was murdered and the charges were not even filed for it to even be taken into consideration. They didn't place charges of murder upon the lady who did the crime and so forth and so on. All right. So for those who may know, a brother does not personally condone uphold quote interracial dating. That's not something that a brother particularly would endorse in that case and so forth. And if you read in the description, one of the main reasons why is because, not trying to be racial, but when a white man holds his daughter at birth, he is not thinking of me as his son-in-law 20, 30 years later. He doesn't sit there and hold, as they call their little meatball, and sit there and think, oh, I'm going to have a Black son-in-law. That is not his intention. So we may work around each other, work with each other, work together even. But there are certain lines that we want to say as Black people we made with our own Black people that should be made with others. You understand? It is commonly known that even if you find quote unquote Hispanics that are Black, like many dark or Black Dominicans and so forth, they are taught from their mothers to never deal with the Black man, and so forth and so on. I've had women from DR, from the Dominican Republic, have actually stated that. You understand, that their parents told them that. So now, when we sit there and we speak upon matters of relationships, interracial or otherwise, in many cases, we have the concept of, oh, see, somebody is a racist. But that is only a matter that only works with people who don't know their own people and comfortability with their own people. Jewish people are comfortable with their own. They don't worry about others calling them racist. Italians are comfortable working with their own. They could care less about other people calling them racist. It is and seems to be a matter of quote unquote Black people that want everybody in what they call maybe the rainbow curriculum to sit there and accept them, while at the same token being comfortable, not making themselves acceptable with and to each other. I want to point out, I remember a particular situation, not being funny, going into the movies, and it was a sister that was following an interracial couple. They was all walking in together, and she held the door for me, a black man. And I said, thank you. And she held the other door. And I said, thank you. But that sister, that black woman could not fix her mouth. And I know you heard me. Everybody like, yo, brother Yeshiah got a deep voice. So I know that you heard me. And you took respectful matters to even hold the next door, which is a polite thing to do. But you could not, next to this white man that you was following as he was with his black woman, say, "You're welcome to the Negro." There was something in that just could not allow that to sit there and be. I remember walking, just using this as an example, Brooklyn or Manhattan in New York, and seeing in many cases interracial couples. In many cases, they, especially if it's a white male with a black female, they generally try to not look at other black people. You understand, in many cases, and not trying to be cynical, it seems in many cases that he's usually on the inner part of the street, whereas she's on the outer part toward where the sidewalk is at. I've noticed that. It's not like he takes the alpha male stance of saying, I'm going to be on the side where the cars are. You understand what I mean? Looking at it in that particular case. So what black women may not know in many cases is that the white man already knows about your failed relationships with brothers. You might be coming with one or more children and think that by saying, well, if he can accept me, or if he can accept my children and love me, that's the saying that goes, then everything can sit there and be okay in that particular matter. But we have to ask, what then are you, quote, bringing, say, to the table in many cases? What I've also noticed, even within talking with sisters, if you will, is that black men who cross that line and deal with what they call Becky or Susan or Karen or so forth and so on, in many, many cases, they don't like that. But the same spirit of not liking that is not shared when we see, just throwing it out there as we're going to talk about Serena Williams, Maya Angelou, Minnie Riperton, and other ones of the past and even present that sit there and promote the swirling concept. You understand? And so these are things that we care to sit there and in part bring out for reference purposes. All right. If I can be heard well and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Again, we on the platforms Mora Yeshiah History Lessons, Mora Yeshiah History Lessons 2, and a Facebook profile, Yeshiah Author Danite. All right. Let's continue, family. This is Telvin Osborne and Hannah Cobb. All right. A black man speaks on the matter of Hannah Cobb and Telvin Osborne. Now, I heard about this case some months ago where she was said after they had went out cleaning her gun, and then the gun went off and he got shot and he died. Now, who cleans a gun that is loaded is one of the questions to ask. But no charges of murder was filed against her, as if to say that she is innocent of the charges and not guilty of his death. So this, in like this year in 2025, has made rounds and circled places and things of that nature. And she was actually held in jail, but obviously is now released and so forth and so on. Now, I want to state, as I stated, I am not the giver and taker of life. So it is not my place to sit there and say, well, it is what it is, and that's that. No, that's not my position in that particular case. Personally, I will never myself deal with the woman that is not what you would call, quote unquote, black. You understand? And not that I'm trying to sell myself as a person seeking a relationship, but I wouldn't deal with a sister who doesn't understand to be called a sister. So if she's black, plus knowing herself to be called a sister, qualification. Because just because many females are melanated, or if that's the correct word for such, or are quote black, doesn't mean that she wants to even acknowledge herself as a sister in that particular case. So these are things again that we care to sit there and point out for reference purposes. All right. Thank you for that, family. If we may, let us continue in this manner. Black women speak concerning the matter and saying things such as good riddance, other things speaking about their personal business regarding the charges being dropped. I saved money on my car insurance. Another statement I saw was my dog got a new lease on life. Another statement I saw was I can care less. Another statement I saw was he was not even worth a date. Now, here is a question that I am asking. Do brothers who are into black women only as wanting a sister, do they get 1,000+ comments from our queens? Do brothers who will not, quote, date the snow bunnies, go out with, quote, the snow bunnies, are those brothers given the recognition of wanting to be with, quote, a sister only? Or is it, well, he's supposed to be like that? Do women think that they can change? And when I say women, I'm talking about black women. Do they think, or do sisters think that they can change a man who doesn't want them to want them? And why would you want someone who does not want you? Why would you use your energy and time based on wanting someone who does not want you? You understand? Let's continue, family. B Angie B, which is the record there, and Serena Williams. Some years ago, B Angie B made a song called I Don't Want to Lose Your Love. And in the video, she is singing to a white man in it. She's singing to a white man in a video saying, I don't want to lose your love. Now, while a brother does not condone for self and hope not for others, quote unquote, interracial dating, if a black man was seen with sisters, as in Tay Diggs was in a movie that he did, say, last year, sisters was commenting on and saying, oh, it's just a movie. Tay Diggs is not really into sisters. But over 15 or so years ago, when B Angie B made the song, I Don't Want to Lose Your Lovin', and the white man is standing there in the bathroom saying, I'm never going to leave you, did she get the flack? Did she get the, quote, being called out upon selling out, if you will, like brothers who do that, like the gentleman that we saw in the picture here? That is the question to sit there and ask, because black men who are into sisters only do not uphold and condone, for whatever it's worth, black men who, quote unquote, go and sell out with, say, the snow bunnies, if you will. Black men who are into black women only do not hope that our brothers will want white women, just to use the terms for understanding purposes. But is it the same thing? Sisters or black women who are only into brothers, do they sit there and get, quote unquote, at sisters who do what we see Serena Williams doing and pushing and promoting it? Or is it okay, though, sister, you would not do that? Do you sit there and still think, well, to each their own, and I could really care less, and so forth? But if, and I'm speaking in general, not knowing everybody on earth, if you can, quote, care less, then why did or ever that become such an important matter? To sit there and make comments, I'm speaking in general, that I personally seen regarding the lady not being charged, Hannah Cobb, and the death of Telvin Osborne. I saved money on my car insurance. I can care less. He was not worth the date. So these are things, again, that we care to bring out. This is Minnie Riperton that you sit there and see from the 1970s and her white man. And then we see who I call on my flash, on my external hard drive, that what you're seeing on the left-hand side is called Serena the Fool. That's how I worded it there. Serena Williams' older sister was unalived or put to death by a member of the Crip gang in California. And you see her at the Super Bowl in blue. This is why I call her a fool. In blue, doing a Crip dance to a rapper song that people were saying it was to sit there and make her ex-boyfriend jealous. So I want to say something, if people care to sit there and hear it. Serena Williams' husband, your lady, your queen, if you will, is dancing to another man's song to make her ex jealous. That is not respectful in any kind of relationship, interracial or otherwise. And is also of a fool because you are representing a dance of people who, when Stanley Tookie Williams was alive, who helped form the Crip gang, regretted what he did. People say they respect the rapper Notorious B.I.G. But if you respect him, then we will call him that, as he, Christopher Wallace, may he rest in peace, asked us to not anymore call him Biggie Smalls. When he was alive, he said, don't call me Biggie Smalls, call me Notorious B.I.G. But some people kiss the behind of somebody so much, I'm going to call you, but you don't want me to call you. If we respect the person for what they're saying, then don't call the man when he don't want to be called. You're going to sit there and tell me that you respect somebody so much, quote unquote respect, that you're going to sit there and say that kind of matter in that particular case. That's ridiculous. So I would never understand how her older sister was put to death or unalived by a member of the Crip gang, and she's at the Super Bowl or anywhere else doing the dance of the gang that put your family member to death. Make it make sense, family. That's why on my, like I said, my external hard drive, I called her a fool. That's how that picture there on my screen says Serena the Fool. That stands out in that particular case. This does not take away from her accomplishments. This does not sit there and take away from the fact that she's one of the best tennis players on earth. But sweetheart, black men have spoken horribly of you, Miss Williams. I mean, real bad. Ex-boyfriends and everything else. That's not your fault, Miss Williams. But the dude that you with is a simp, a coward, a beta male, not strong. Because anytime, if your lady is sitting up there dancing to make her ex jealous, she don't love you. She don't love that man that you sit there and see in the picture. Because if she loved him and respect goes along drop bar with loving, she would not even want to entertain making her ex jealous. I have been in a relationship, and I remember greeting a sister after seeing her on Facebook. I said, "Shalom, sister, how you been?" And her response was, "Shalom, Yeshiah, I've been well, but I'm married now. We have nothing really to say in that particular case." Now, there's two ways to look at that. First, respectful, because we really didn't have nothing to say. One of the reasons, not to get too personal, why we broke up is because the relationship wasn't thriving because we wasn't talking. It would be 3 days no talking. Hey, how you doing? Let's go out one time a week, if that. So that relationship died down because neither her nor I put the spark in that relationship. That particular sister is now married. So I can look at it like, well, Proverbs 31 woman is married and she goes out not having the spirit of idleness and doing certain things and so forth and so on. But brother, and by brother, I mean myself. If she has nothing to offer, like the Proverbs 31 married woman, in promoting or otherwise, then y'all really done got nothing to say to each other. Show that respect. Know what it is. Say shalom from a distance. Say it from your soul. You understand? But don't ever disrespect, similar to like Miss Williams did to her man, if you want to call him that to her, by her dancing to make another man jealous at the Super Bowl. How do you think Kendrick Lamar in his song and the other guy who was her ex, I forget the guy's name, Drake, how do you think them two might think about this sip guy that she's with? She wanted to make her ex jealous listening to another man's song and not being racial. Drake is biracial. So, but most people would say he's biracial, but he would identify as black. Correct me if I'm wrong. So here you have a black woman married to a white man dancing to a song made by a black man trying to insult another mixed man. Where in the world does a white man fit in that? See, and white guys know this about sisters who quote unquote swirl. They know that you're with them because you can't stand your own. Serena honestly cannot stand quote unquote the black man, nor no disrespect intended to the family, because here you are on the side dancing the gang dance that is in part the black version of the KKK. Red, white, and blue, Bloods, Crips, and the Klan. Crips have not helped black people, even though they started off from the Black Panthers in the 1970s, and it changed and it got very corrupt afterward, because they didn't start off like Jamie Foxx playing Tookie Williams stated. When the Crips started called Cribs, CRIBS, a branch from the Black Panthers, it didn't start what we have seen in the 80s and 90s. Here we see now this woman at the Super Bowl, not to be redundant, doing the dance of the gang that unalived a black woman, another queen put in a casket and in the ground by the gang that this woman is doing the dance of. That's why I call her a fool. Do sisters get at her for that if they got the time to? Because, see, sisters got at this dead man right here. In some of the comments that we see, good riddance, I save my money on car insurance. In other words, the hell with him. But was that done with Minnie Riperton, as we pointed out here? And this is dating back to the 70s. Interracial dating and marriage for certain was not made legal in the United States until 1964. Before that, interracial marriages were illegal in the United States until 1964. The first quote-unquote couple to want to break that mold was a black woman with a white man, because black men were not going for snow bunnies like that. And anytime, like in Rosewood or in other cases where a quote-unquote snow bunny done sat there and said it was an N-word that did it, they brought Klansmen in nooses and hung up the town. Had black people scared that night based upon a white woman saying that she was sexually assaulted. Now, again, we want to point out, interracial dating in the United States was not made quote unquote legal until 1964. And sadly, black people actually felt in certain cases we've made progress. We are the only people who don't want to be with our own and think it's progress, that we've achieved and we've made strides and yay. No. As I pointed out in the description of this, there's not a white man that is looking forward to having a black man as his son-in-law. The movie Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee shows how that is thought of. He beat his daughter's behind after she was sexually involved with a black man in that movie. Was there white men when that movie came out? Do the Right Thing. No, not Do the Right Thing. That wasn't the movie. I stand corrected. It was the movie called Jungle Fever. That was the movie. In the movie Jungle Fever by Spike Lee, there's a scene in there where the white father beats his daughter up because she has sex with a black man. Were there white men saying, oh my gosh, that's not really what it is. We wouldn't really sit there and want that.
that white man that you had in that movie Jungle Fever who beat up his daughter is not a representation of us good white Americans. No. They stayed quiet because they know that's how they feel. They do not want, though they work with black men. I work around white guys. It don't sit there and make me feel like I am working around the greater Americans, quote unquote. That doesn't sit there and make me feel any better. I met people who sat there and felt that I have white friends. I rented to white tenants. I sat there and have white buddies. And as if that makes you feel accomplished, like you achieved something. Again, we black people are the only ones who sit there and go on smiling like you see Minnie Riperton right there and dancing the gang dance of the people who unalived your sister to make another black man jealous while you already married. The sister who is married now that told me, brother Yeshiah, so you understand this sister know herself as Israel, that sat there and said, Yeshiah, I'm married now. We really can't even sit there and be conversing. She has more respect for her relationship. And I did not know the sister was married when I inboxed her shalom. But I just said respected shalom. And that's the end of that conversation. That was almost a year ago. She let it be known what it is. All I wanted to do was just say shalom and hope the family was well. I didn't get the chance to go as far as to say I hope the family was well because she let it be known her stance with the family. She has an ish, a husband. She has no real reason. If I need a flyer made, if I'm asking you, can I sponsor your business in a book? When you get the Hebrew, it's easy books. I sponsor other people's businesses in it. That got shut down respectfully. And I have to honor that. That sister, whose name I'm not going to mention, has more respect for her man, her union, her relationship than Serena ever could for this simp bastard that you sit there and see there in that particular case, smiling like I got one of your queens. No, dude, your queen is trying to make another black man jealous, listening to the song of another black man at the Super Bowl so the entire world can sit there and see it. When Monique the comedian sat there, and to quote her, pardon my language, and she said regarding her husband, who she said was not able to read well. This is from the Queens of Comedy thing that the comedian Monique was in. And she sat there and said that she said to her husband, point to it, you ignorant bitch. Her husband divorced her based upon the disrespect he was shown in her being a comedian. You embarrassed me, humiliated me as your spouse. And come to find out, sadly, in her case, Monique had to wind up paying the ex-husband alimony. Did you know that, family? See, in general, black men are not like the simp dude you see here that's going to take you disrespecting him in public and everything be all right. But maybe he feels, I got this great black woman, so I'm going to allow myself to be humiliated and disrespected. But if you can disrespect your family, immediate family, and do the gang dance of the gang that assassinated, unalived, put to death your biological sister, that ain't good, man. So, sisters, you may want to sit back and think before you think Serena is, quote unquote, with the group or at the cookout. She's not at the cookout like sisters be talking about. Candace Owens is not at the cookout. Another black woman in the swirling community and had a baby from her white husband, go around white people, being the only black person shown inside her wedding picture. The only black person shown in Candace Owens' wedding picture is her. And then white men begin to bash you when you was kicked off the thing called The View or whatever that show was. After you get, it's not that I think The View was with on Whoopi Goldberg or so forth and so on. The Daily View or something of that nature. Candace Owens was removed from that and so forth, and now got to try to, as black people say, come into quote unquote the cookout. You're not invited. And then when you go and you bring your mixed child among white males and females, you will find out what they think about you. You're not invited. See, because one thing about white people, they can spot out their coons and their N-words and their sambos. They have that gift to be able to sit there and detect. You're only my friend because you don't like your own. You're not friendly for all races. You friend with me, a white person, because you don't like black people. And therefore, deep down, they do not trust you based upon that. It's kind of like a manager or supervisor at the job who knows that the employee is a butt kisser, a behind kisser. You're always running to tell the manager and supervisor about other things as opposed to playing a quiet role and letting your work shine. Your projects are done. You don't ever have to be reprimanded for something being late. You are timely in your presentations. You are timely as an employee. You are timely in getting things accomplished. You don't have to say, got it done. It's the work is already seen. But it's wise, black or white, supervisor, manager knows good and well that if you are always the run the quote unquote tell, you ain't doing your job because that's not what I hired you for. That's not what you are hired for. So an intelligent black or white supervisor, manager can sit there and spot the behind kisser, black or white, at a job. So black women and black men who go to Zadie or Becky, do know that your white men and white women know that you can't get along with brothers and sisters, and that's why you're doing that. They know that. It's not uncommon. That's why I point out in that movie from Jungle Fever, where I forgot, I think the guy's name is Vincent. In real life, he passed, to my knowledge, rest in peace. He played a role of beating up his white daughter for sleeping with, he called the N-word. Where again was the white men that was saying that that was a misrepresentation. So let's continue in this. Over 10 years ago, there was an article saying that Serena Williams said that a successful black woman cannot date a black man. People since then have stated that article was not, in fact, a true statement of hers. I remember that article, and people was going about talking about it, but people are now saying that she didn't say it. Let's continue. While the article may or may not be true, we do know that one of the greatest attested black men, Tupac, may he rest in peace, dated a white woman, Madonna. Did you know that the rapper Tupac dated Madonna, a black man with a white woman, but ended it, meaning ended the relationship, saying it will not set the image of what he is to project as a black man to his people. Check it out if you care to. Tupac, known for Brenda Have a Baby, known for Dear Mama, known for California Love. At one point in his 25 years, may he rest in peace, dated Madonna, the white woman, who now has adopted black children, saying a boy can be a princess. And Tupac broke off the relationship with Madonna, saying that it will not set the image that he wants to have and should have as a black man to his people. This can mean that who you date and would marry is a representative of your thought. So even if people made up an article about Serena speaking horribly of black men, who you date, who you would marry, is still saying the same thing. And black women, white men know this. White women know this as when you as a black man want to date them. You can't call queen and sister and things of that kind of nature. So these are things that we care to bring out for reference purposes. Subscribe to the channel. I would sleep with the dog before I sleep with the black woman. That's what the guy here said. This guy here that you see in a picture, he said that he would sleep with a dog. Of course, they said that he used the F word, that he would sleep with a dog before he would sleep with a black woman. This statement shows that sisters pay attention, maybe too much attention, to a dodo who does not have respect for them/sisters. Are we to think the black man who does not want to be with a sister can rent space in her head? Do black women appreciate the black man who wants a sister? Can a black woman stand to be called a sister? Because there's two different things I wanted to point out. She can be black and into brothers only, but can she be stand to be called a sister? Which means that you want to have a family tie, a nucleus based upon relation. Is interracial dating promoted more by black women or white women? That's a question I want to have asked. Black women who say they got white friends, white female friends, if you will, do your white female friends promote, for the lack of a better term, Tyrone, the brother, Dwayne, the brother, dealing with them? Or black women, if you have white female friends who are into black guys, do they sit there and rub it in your face like, I got your man, you can't keep him? These are things not to sit there and sadden anybody's day. Not saying that while we are in a melting pot of racial matters where America, everybody works around one another, black, white, Hispanic, we're going to talk about that another time, and so forth and so on. And here's the other time. Let's talk about that real quick, if we will. I will vote for Donald Trump. You made a song about it years ago. And now when you see deportations happening, did you think friends from Mexico, friends from Venezuela, did you think that because he and his father, Trump and his father in the 1970s, did not rent to black Americans, that the deportation thing was only going to happen to black people from Haiti? Or did you forget when that guy said that a floating piece of garbage in the water called Puerto Rico, and that went over your head? Or when they were going to sit there and change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America? Or did that go over your head? We vote for Donald Trump. And then turned right around and said, oh, we were betrayed. No, you thought it was going to come for the morenos, the black male, the morenas, the black female. And now, because black people already know greatly what Trump is and was about, you thought maybe the complexion for protection was going to sit there and make it pass and everything be all right. It'd only be them. No. Because see, who we talked about earlier, right? This lady Serena Williams doing a Crip dance and all of that. The Crips are predominantly African-American or black. The Bloods are predominantly African-American or black. The KKK is only white. You don't see Trump talking about Bloods, Crips, or the KKK, which is all centered in part about and being against black people. But you see him talking about MS-13, because see, MS-13 would attack white people. MS-13 will attack Hispanic people. MS-13 will attack black people. See, MS-13 is not like the KKK that focuses on black people. It's not like the Bloods or the Crips that focus on black people. MS-13 is about Hispanic and attacking, and black and attacking, and white and attacking. So Trump is going to sit there and feel that, quote, MS-13, a gang, is going to be more problems to the greater American people, quote unquote, than the Bloods, the Crips, or the Klan will ever be, because Trump knows Bloods, Crips, and Klan are not going to attack white people. But MS-13 would. So these are things that we care to sit there and bring out, brothers and sisters. But I didn't want people to think perhaps, oh, you're just getting on sisters. No. Getting on people who this is addressed to is what this is. The guy said that he would not, that he would sleep with a dog before he would sleep with a black woman. And now, because the man is now dead, you find with the charges being not pressed against the murderer and so forth, well, time to move on with my life kind of thing. You understand? That's the problem in that case. All right? So, go and play music. Get right back. Thank you for that. Shalom, shalom. All right, going to close out as it is approaching 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I got to get into the job and everything like that. But I'm just wanting to read the comments, if we may. Thank you for that, family, in that particular case. All right. Good morning. That was me sending in the intro. Shalom. Shalom Aleichem. Boker Tov, all praise to the Most High. And the person is saying Ima as in mother, because I didn't know if it was a male or female. Thank you for that. Boker Tov Ak, meaning good morning, brother. Domer Laka, Ani Omer Laka. Same to you, I say. And Zaina, that is the name of the Ima or mother. And saying Cain or Khan, in that case, meaning yes. And my friend who typed in 4, thank you for that. In that particular case, I guess that's the face palm. I don't know exactly what was stated at that moment, but thank you for that comment, my brother. And Iman then says it's important because if you ever look at a picture of the Jacksons, they are whited out. That is the truth. And then Iman wrote in wow, and brother wrote sleeping with the enemy is diabolical. And I understand, I guess, that when I was talking about that fool doing the Crip dance, makes no sense. One of their gang members unalived their family member. I'll never make sense of that one.
We can't even say make it make sense. She thought she was cool doing the Belial walk. Belial, essentially, brothers and sisters, is talking about that which is of the adversary, or that which is contested against righteousness. That's essentially what Belial is. All right. In that particular case, and our friend April said peace, and same to you. And so these are things to point out in this particular case. I want to close out and say this, if I may. I wanted to pull up, if I may, the PowerPoint. All right, from current slide. If it shows, it's not showing. So I'm going to stop the screen, share the screen, do it like that. In that particular case, the person said, I would sleep with the dog before I sleep with the black woman. Sisters, I want to ask this. You think a person who's talking about essentially sexuality is even worth you even saying the statements that you made, or say that, oh, he spoke bad about black women? No. He did not speak bad about black women. He spoke bad about himself. He said that he would do bestiality before he would sleep with their queen. Sisters, that kind of gentleman who's now dead was already dead. There was no need to sit there perhaps and say, my dog got a new lease on life. We're not even going to protest against that fool. Because what he valued you, sister, as is only your lower genitals. He didn't sit there and talk about marriage and so forth, and I would marry this one before I would marry that kind of one, and so on. You understand? What he said was essentially, I would sleep with the dog, meaning that you can be charged with a crime for bestiality, and in the scriptures, a death penalty, before you would, he said he would sleep with a black woman. Do you think, again, in asking, that that person is even worth your time, queen, sister, female regent? Nah. A clown like that is not even worth your time. He is saying, though, being 100, how he feels. As pointed out, when Tupac had to end that relationship with his white lady, Madonna, he had to do it because he knew the spirit about that particular matter. Isabel and Ferdinand in the 15th century had to, quote, in order for Spain to become white and good, or good and white, he had to, along with his wife, white wife Isabel, get rid of the Moors that was in Spain. You couldn't have a black-white empire. You understand? This statement shows that sisters pay attention, maybe too much attention, to a dodo who does not have respect for them. If he's saying essentially that he would sleep with a dog, he would sit there and do acts of bestiality, which is a sin and a crime, before he would sleep with you, there's no need for you to even sit there and talk about your dog having a new lease on life. He didn't speak well of sisters. It don't matter if you do interracial dating, but to sit there and say those kind of things, what is your mate saying about your race? Can you imagine if you want to go there as a black woman watching Roots with a white man and sit there and feel how that would be after that? What side will he take? Who he will have empathy for? Because I personally have seen dudes, black dudes, who deal with Becky, if you want to call it that in that particular case. She don't respect him either. Because again, white men know that black women with white men don't want the white man. It's because she can't get along with the black man. White women know that the black man don't want her. It's because he can't stand Shaniqua. That's what it is. There is a video out about interracial promoting that black men are doing.
Not even in for each their own, quote unquote, the passport boys. We're talking about where the black male is there with a white female and on the same couch as a black female, and then she disappears. He's telling you already what he's saying without saying it. You cannot convince, let it be known, that a white man is looking forward for his daughter to marry a black man. Obama would not have gotten the support from white males if Michelle was a white woman. If Michelle from Full House, that old show, was to be, if you using age and everything like that, being a grown woman by the time Obama got in office, if Obama was with a Snow Bunny, there would have been much less white male support toward him. There are boundaries that white men and white women have once it comes to even dating with, say, black people. Did you know that? She knows that she might have her family reject her. And she's willing for that in that particular case. I don't see how that's growth. That's more of a problem than anything. But some people don't mind having to sit there and having to answer to their children. All right. Are we to think that the black man who does not want to be with a sister can rent space in her head? Do black women appreciate the black man who wants a sister? Can a black woman stand to be called a sister? Brian, my sister Tamika, my sister Shaquana is not the solution because Dwayne, Rasheen, and Tyrone didn't work out for you, or you, Star Keisha, or Tamika, or Ayana, or Keisha did not work out for the brother. The fact that black men and black women don't get along at times does not cause us to have the antidote, quote unquote, so-called antidote, as Zadie or Becky. She is not the solution because we brothers have difficult times with sisters. Because the original, and I'm probably going to get flack for this because, you know, don't curse on the platform. The original, and I'm not going to curse. No, I'm going to keep it respect. Shut the F up N-word was Becky. You did know that. The original term bed wrench was Zadie, the white dude singing that. All you gotta do if you want to sit there and watch it, the movie Mandingo gets into that. Brother wrote in closing out, I worked around a black woman who was married to a white man, was disrespectful to all black males who worked around her. She called them all kinds of derogatory names. Of course. That's not love in, say, in interracial dating and those kind of matters. That is, I can't get along with mine. White men do know that she is still thinking about brothers. Serena Williams pointed that out. I'm going to dance to make my ex jealous while dancing to another black man song. And Kendrick Lamar played himself doing that. Serena Williams played herself doing that. It does not, in no disrespect intended, matter if Kendrick Lamar, for those who do know this platform, claims to be of the house of Israel and the Israelite as well. You still played yourself, Ak. You don't entertain a married woman, still out or not, to sit there and be used as a catalyst to get another brother jealous, or another person jealous, or another human being jealous, or another individual jealous. That's a flaw on your end, bruh. But it's the Super Bowl. It was a game. Games are for clowns.